are people complaining about?
It's vibrant red. Vibrant
red, and it ain't orange. It's not orange.
Chelsea and Liverpool, mate. We did it.
Well done. I'm thrilled, but we're not here to talk about that. I think Liverpool were the only team that comfortably dealt with their opposition today.
Yes, I think. Look, Liverpool did. We can explore Liverpool for sure. A huge,
beautiful place. Let's go to the Cavern.
Mate, a huge, a few drinks on Matthew Street. Beautiful. No, look, a huge day for Liverpool, and
both
the
old
way
men
that
who don't know what they're talking about.
The way
the
that
Cavern.
You've put a series of results together now when the pressure was really on.
You know what?
It's a massive statement. From
I get
Jurgen
that,
Klopp.
and they're going to add to the squad over the summer. Hopefully, touch wood. There's a sense that as quickly as it left them, they went, oh yeah, right. We understand we're still a good team. The combinations between Mo Salah and Mane up front was fantastic. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold's got a bit of a, vengeance about him now.
Yeah, he looks great.
Since
Since Southgate showed him that disrespect.
Yeah,
he hasn't looked back.
And it's the dynamic of that midfield that I quite enjoy. Like, I really enjoy watching Fabinho and Thiago. They look like a partnership in that midfield. And what it does is it frees up whoever's that third person to be a bit of a sort of a satellite player. You see Fabinho and Thiago, when they get it, pass it, very short passes between each other, and then move away. They drop shoulders and they're going somewhere else. It really gives so much more latitude, I think, to the movement of the front three as well.
Yeah.
Because Salah can get it. Trent's on the overlap.
Mate,
finishing a season strong like this is very important when you've had a bad season.
It was never in doubt from the second that Alisson scored that goal at the Hawthorns, was it? Liverpool were never not going to... In fact, ultimately that goal wasn't even necessary. But it set the tone, didn't it? No, it wasn't. In the end, it wasn't.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But it meant that Liverpool could relax a little bit more on this last angle. We just need a win. We don't want to need to rely on someone else. And Liverpool ultimately... I know that Chelsea and Leicester have done their thing, but... Ultimately, Liverpool were the only team today where their fate was in their own hands.
And you went out
waiting on. They just needed a win.
Yeah, and you went out.
Insane. Yeah, that's huge, insane for the last.
A huge statement from Liverpool, and ultimately finishing third. Overall, it has to be seen as a fairly solid season, considering everything that was thrown at you as well.
I think it's considering the context, but the problem is you'd never want to be saying to yourselves, with such a good squad, with such a good manager, well, considering. You want to be the team that go, we don't need to consider anything, we're celebrating. That's why Liverpool should be disappointed. And in context of the history of, what Shankly says and all those things, the things that people always throw to when we win, we should whip ourselves with the same stick.
True,
so it should basically be, this wasn't a good enough season, it was really poor.
But it's a springboard for
they haven't fallen off to such a degree that next season we start the season and go, oh, well, what now?
Yeah.
There's very different. There. Yeah.
I always talk about Brendan Rodgers, and I sometimes get a bit of stick for the way that I approach the Rodgers situation.
Absolutely.
Where do you sit on the Rodgers debate now?
I think he's a great manager. I do think he gets teams to overachieve, but I also see that there is this mentality issue that you've identified, which it just means he's not a finisher in that sense at the moment. And I do think there will be a day where we look at him and go, right, you've learned to create a team.
He can't close a deal.
It's like Gil on The Simpsons. Like, oh, Gil. And that was the problem at Liverpool. It wasn't so much the problem at Celtic, although some people at Celtic would make the argument he didn't quite get the team to the level it should have been with such dominance for Celtic at that time. So the frustration for me is with Rodgers. When the conversation started on the show, people made it seem like it was either you took up your position or the other. For me, there's a bit of a scale. And that's the problem. You don't want to feel there's a scale with your manager. You want to feel sure. Yeah. This needs to be a guy, similar to a film director or similar to a general or any of these things, that you've got to go, I can trust that what this guy says is correct.
I just find that with Rodgers, when he gets into these moments, like it's too coincidental for him to consistently not achieve it really matters.
I'm not making that argument about coincidence.
But it's a deficiency. Or do you agree with me that it's a deficiency?
I also think he drives his team to such a degree. The team and faith needs to be kept throughout the season. It can't just be something which goes. And there are moments when you think, right, this Leicester team need to strike.
Yes.
And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. There's other sides where they go out there and you think, right, we know what's going to happen.
Do you know what? There are very few clubs at the top, competing at the very top of the Premier League, who I would think could potentially drop points to a Tottenham team with nothing to play for today.
Right.
With Rodgers leading Leicester, I just thought it's unlikely, but there's a chance. Whereas there should be no chance.
I see that.
And I think that's a worry. But due to the fact that Rodgers has
done that, you guys make it.
We make it.
And
we've lucked out though, haven't we? We've lost at Villa and we've made it to the Champions League next year.
You've lost. To go on top of that, it does take some of the pressure off that Champions League final. Because I do feel that if you'd have lost today, been in fifth...
You don't need added pressure in a Champions League final.
The thought of that would have been, so we're playing here for next season to either be in the Europa League or in the Champions League. And you think, really, you don't want to be thinking about avoiding something. You want to be thinking about achieving something. And so that, your Mason Mounts, those kind of guys, you want them focused in the right way. And I think that is a good thing. My worry is that's a couple of results now where it's been similar to Liverpool in a sense, just a complete fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
And you're not quite sure why.
No, well, that was exactly my next question, actually. What I was going to say to you was, is it that we've run out of steam? Is it that Tuchel's tactics have been found out? Or is it just bad performances that need to be eradicated? I do think you've had bad performances. I do think you can make an argument. I mean, it'll be based on only retrospectively joining the dots backwards of what the performance in the Champions League final is. Say you guys turn up in the Champions League final, we go... So they've been thinking about that for 3 weeks. Or however long it is. If we end up losing 3-0 in the Champions League final, it's gone to pot ultimately.
It could still be the case. You might still say, well, you know what, they played well, but they lost to a good City team, all those kind of things.
Which is obviously a huge concern. This is our final review of the domestic season, obviously as a season
domestic, but yeah.
We'll be here twice more. We have to talk about Man City, don't we?
They've been insanely...
They've been amazing.
This is actually the football from Pep that I've enjoyed the most at Man City. Not because I didn't enjoy Silva or Aguero or those guys, but just because when it comes down to it, I do feel he's had the most true to his system version.
This is himself, yeah.
This didn't feel like people going, well, Pellegrini bought this guy or whoever it was that bought this guy.
No, this was his true team.
Yeah.
And in terms of the Champions League next week, City have obviously dominated Everton today.
So dominant.
They're going to lift the trophy. They are the champions. Will this week now...
I forgot about that, by the way.
How is this going to affect them? Are they going to have a very serene week? Or could they, how Leicester won the FA Cup and have fallen?
No,
will Man City win the Premier League, lift the Premier League, and will that inspire them going into the event in Portugal, or will it... Hopefully they're going to go celebrating.
This is one of the seasons where I would love to see what Pep has said to the players, because it does seem quite different to the other seasons.
They seem very driven, don't they? Very focused.
They're so focused. It's so impressive to watch. In the same way as Liverpool was so focused last year, I just love watching that kind of thing. You know, when The Last Dance was on during the middle of the pandemic, it's felt like there was a similar... You've been able to identify it almost a bit easier because you've seen a bit of that.
Yeah.
Seems similar to that with Pep, as if Pep has gone, here's the formula, here's what we do it this season. And, you wonder what will happen the season after. Maybe they'll continue the dominance.
And aside from their shaky start, that run they went on in the middle of the season, just that is what drove them to the league.
You've got to also question whether it's down to the complexity of what Pep is asking them to do, what he's trying to achieve out on the pitch, and whether they're on the cusp, because it never felt like they were so bad, but it always felt like they were on the cusp of something, and that they weren't quite finding it. And that also during the pandemic, during COVID, that they wouldn't have time to work on it on the training field, and that they wouldn't be able to find it. So I get it.
Different now.
Click though, and then you saw what happened.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I cannot wait for that. We're going to be on the kick-off both on Wednesday for the Europa League final and on the weekend for the Champions League final.
Mate,
thank you for everything this season.
You, mate.
I thoroughly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to Lozcast. 121,000, I believe.
Wow, that's great, isn't it?
I know. It's amazing.
Mate, I'm so
humbled.
happy.
Thank you so much to everyone, and a huge thank you to you. See you in a bit.